Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We have got some breaking news on Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy before a massive game for the manager. What a coincidence. Before we dive into that specific story, though, Sam, how are we feeling ahead of today's game? Does it feel like we're going to witness a funeral?
Yeah, I'm resigned to the fact that A, we're going to lose, and B, he's probably going to get sacked over the international break, isn't he? Because that's normally the pattern. Normally, if you go on a bad run, it's normally about November, and October, November time is when a manager goes. Jose went around then, didn't he? Ollie went around then. So, yeah, it's not looking good, is it? It's not looking
No, it's almost weird because we're familiar with the feeling, aren't we? As soon as the international break hits, it's almost like we're used to the feeling of United talking to other managers or trying to get another coach in or what have you. So, yeah, of course, one of the other options is bringing in an interim manager, and apparently that's what's causing a lot of friction at the moment. So we had Mullock from the Mirror, who I believe, for the most part, from what I've seen, has got good ties when it comes to Erik ten Hag. So some people are saying calling it bullshit. Some people are calling it, I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in between. But he's basically saying that there is some tension between ten Hag and Van Nistelrooy, as speculation has grown that the former United striker was recruited by Ineos in the summer because he would be a safe pair of hands should a change of manager be required. Now, there was some surprise at Manchester United this week when Erik ten Hag allowed a Dutch film crew into Carrington to film Rene Hack taking a training session, where he later gave an interview and he suggested that he was second in command, which is also interesting in itself. But at the same time, Sam, I want to be kind of balanced here. This is the type of news that surfaces when your manager is on his way out, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think the media likes to sort of go for ten Hag anyway, doesn't it? Like it likes to sort of try and have a pop at him any way they can, and when things are going badly, it then leaves people a bit more open to speculation. Like if we were winning and we were sort of doing well, and people started putting stories like this out, we're just like, oh, it's the media trying to tear us down. The media trying to fuck us up because we're doing so well. But because we're doing badly, people are now like, see, it's all falling apart. It's all falling. So I think there's a little bit of that in it. I'd imagine the film crew would have had to have got permission before the season started to get this done. I can't imagine they just rocked up one day and went, "Can we film this?" And then he was like, yeah, sure. Like, having worked in production, that's not how it works. So I imagine they'd had permission beforehand with that. With the Ruud van Nistelrooy thing, you kind of like, we all called it, didn't we? Before, when he got hired, we're like, why are we hiring a manager who's been a first team top level manager as his assistant? And I think we all called it and went, if he's in trouble, the speculation is going to start about Ruud being next in line. And right on cue, here it is.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I will say about Ruud van Nistelrooy, right, and it's something which baffles me because people are so eager to see him in. Maybe it's out of desperation because they just want to see ten Hag gone. But let's not forget here, he is a part of that coaching staff where this team is failing. It's weird, isn't it? It's almost like people like, I know ten Hag is the figurehead and he's the main guy, but Ruud's coaching these players and so is Rene Hack. So they should be equally responsible, should they not?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Also, I know you've done your research, so you're aware of this, but if people are not aware of it, people who are so desperate to get Ten Hag out because they just can't stand him, so they'll take, like you said, take the next best thing. You look at Ruud van Nistelrooy, he's just as stubborn as Ten Hag is, like does not change a thing for anybody, will stick to his principles no matter what. Fell out with the upper management because of such stuff at PSV, and plays a very similar style to Ten Hag as well, if we're honest, if you watch how he plays. So be careful what you wish for, because you want Ten Hag out so badly, and Ruud in, going to be much of the same, I'm afraid. Like, it's not going to be a big, massive difference in between things. You might get that bounce like you do normally, but long term, probably not. So be careful what you wish for.
Also, I'm not sure how like comfortable I am with having another interim in, because I feel like you're almost writing off the season then. I know maybe they might not have the option that they want until the summer, but I don't know. Do you not feel like that? If Ruud comes in now, it's like, oh, anything can happen. Let's just see at the end of the season. And you basically, you've got...
It's Ollie again, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, so I don't personally feel comfortable with it. Another thing I don't feel comfortable with, and there's loads of kind of narrative spinning off from this story, Ten Hag and Rene Hack are a part of an agency called SEG, or SEG, whatever we want to call it. And apparently there's a concern with how much influence they're having within kind of the United culture.
Yeah.
So you have, I think, Rasmus, Anthony, Ten Hag, Rene Hack, and there's a couple of other kind of Dutch people there who are really heavily involved with this. Again, I don't know if you was aware of this, but it's something that, I don't know, I feel a little bit uncomfortable with as well, just that side of things.
Yeah, but there's similar setups across the sort of across the football world. Like obviously you got Jorge Mendes has got a very big influence on Wolves and a couple of clubs in Spain. So and then we had who was the guy who Riola, he had like a couple of like big sort of things like Juve yeah, so this that tends to happen quite a bit within football. So, but yeah, you don't want a massive influence of one way or the other and a big power sort of structure within your club. So yeah, that's probably not as good as you would like it to be. The problem with that, like your interim question, is any sort of long-term manager I would like to see, it's going to be extremely difficult getting him because the good options like Tuchel, we've had conversations and we didn't agree on it. How's that going to look going back to him, tail between your legs, and being like, "You fancy it now?" Like that's not a good look, is it?
No.
Nagelsmann is signed an extension with the German national team. It's going to be extremely difficult to get him out of there. And then Ruben Amorim, it's extremely difficult to get him out mid-season at Sporting Lisbon. Like you can go for Thomas Frank, same thing. Extreme. I know we're United. I know we're a big team and stuff like that. So it's extremely difficult to get any of them out of their clubs and into United halfway through a season when we're in this kind of form. Like, what manager is going to be willingly take on this job? Like, it's a difficult situation, man. So I get you interim bit, but again, getting in somebody permanent, very difficult at the minute.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of talk around Inzaghi as well. That seems to be being pushed loads. I'm not sure how people feel about that. We have got quite a few of you in the chat, so please do make your opinions bold and strong in the comment section. And please do leave a like on the video for us and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Nice to see so many of you. Richard saying it's like watching a friend die, and then to make things worse, your friend does not want to save himself. Sean saying, might as well keep Erik ten Hag. Ruud is already taking training sessions. Nothing will change with him as a manager. And for what it's worth, Erik ten Hag is more experienced. Ruud, as much as I love him, is pointless. We've got Tiger saying, good morning. Punch Pate saying, big up Real Red Talk. Nick and Sam, the best in the business. Thank you very much, Punch. Dan saying, that's a weird analogy, Richard. Lewis, but if they're struggling to get an elite manager, an interim might be the only option. I mean, yeah, look, it's dire times and it is extremely desperate, but I would also argue that we'll just give you kind of Ruud van Nistelrooy's portfolio. You know, it's going to be more of the same. I think people just want the change just for the sake of it sometimes. I don't know. It's a difficult one for Ineos to handle because either way, they're kind of fucked, aren't they? Because they've made the bold decision, Sam, to stick with him. And now it's come back to bite him a little bit. That's the first wrong decision they've made, you could argue.
Yeah, well, with the FA Cup win, a lot of us were feeling, okay, let's give him another season, let's give him time and stuff like that. And obviously, he's gotten tits up so far. But their number one target was clearly Thomas Tuchel, wasn't it? Because that's the guy, like, they actually met him in person, flew to Monaco to meet him and all that. So that was obviously the guy they 100% wanted. And then everybody else they kind of sort of spoke to, but didn't really pursue. Thomas Frank, I think Michael Silva, etc. So when your number one target is not available, I think their second choice was keeping Ten Hag because the other options they probably felt weren't better than Ten Hag or couldn't do a better job than Ten Hag. So that's why they've stuck with him. But I think that was due to the option of Thomas Tuchel being taken off the table rather than deciding between the two and going with Ten Hag. So it was kind of taken out of their hands, really. Like they didn't really have a choice in that matter.
Yeah. We've had multiple, I would say, relatively credible journalists who've suggested that, you know, the United board view the international break as a good time to potentially part ways with Erik ten Hag. And it has that feeling, done it before the Watford game, Sam.
Yeah.
I think that was after the international break, wasn't it? Because he was discussing Conte during it, and there was a couple of other managers. They stuck with him, came back after the international break, and then we got battered off Watford. I have a feeling today, because it is match day, and I'm not even mentioning that. We're going to be live for that, so make sure you all come and join us for the pre-match build-up and the review. But yeah, I feel like today, if it's the only way he can rescue himself is if it's a convincing win over Villa, and I think that is so. Would that be one of the biggest surprises in the past 10 years? You think if we went and comfortably beat Villa today?
It's not just about victory, is it? It's performance. We need to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
something. Like because we looked good against Sporting for that first sort of 20 minutes, and then we just chucked it away. And then same with Crystal Palace, we looked great for the majority of the game, but couldn't kill the game off. So we've been in this position before, so we could very well start this game looking excellent for 20, 30
yeah.
minutes, score a goal or two, and then just chuck it away towards the end. Like it's within our nature. We need 90 plus minutes, convincing performance, and a victory. He needs to get
Mhm.
both of those. You cannot have yeah, we got the win, but we didn't look good, or we looked good, but we didn't get the victory, like the Crystal Palace game. He needs both, and he needs both. So if he doesn't, then yeah, that's probably it, I think. But he needs both of those things, and I think even then, Ineos might just
Mm.
decide this is one game, or they might decide, look, we'll give you till Christmas, just before January window, and then we'll go. Maybe they do that, but yeah, it's either way. I think he's left it a little too late to sort of save his job.
Yeah, because you look at 3 goals conceded against Liverpool, 3 goals conceded against Spurs, 3 goals conceded against Porto, and a lot of them like early goals are in quick succession, and that is reminiscent of last year, isn't it? When in the Champions League as well, and other bits where you just straight away, and I can see the exact same pattern going into this Villa game. Them getting, if they get an early goal, we are dead. If we can manage to, keep it like Palace, tie it, and you go into the second half, you give yourself half a chance. But if they score like a Watkins early goal, I think we're going to get absolutely plastered because the players at that point may just go, it's done. We're done. We're done. Like we're sick of this same routine, trying to get used to these patterns and system, and it's just destroying us. But also, they need to take accountability as well. Harry Maguire said after the Porto game, Sam, we feel like we're playing better than we were last season. The results haven't been there. Obviously, the performance was really poor against Spurs. Apart from that, I feel like we should have had more points on the board, but they're not. So we need to do something about it starting with Sunday. Is that a fair assessment?
So we won against Fulham, which did we deserve to win that game?
A
I
very
think,
even game, wasn't it?
yeah, even game. So we probably got away with one there. Who was the next game after Fulham?
Brighton lost to Brighton.
Again, quite even game, but we switched off at the end, and we're
Yeah.
unlucky with a goal. So you can sort of like chalk that up. Battered by Liverpool, not winning that one. Battered by Spurs, definitely not worth winning that one.
Southampton.
Southampton, we looked absolutely awful for 30 minutes, and then
Yeah,
when they missed that penalty, that changed the game, and we kind of sort of took control. So I don't think so. I think most of those games we didn't really dominate. Southampton we dominated after 30 minutes, but the first 30 minutes is. So I think it's more of a saving face type thing for Maguire there. I think the European campaign is just carried on from last year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Going up 2-0 and then chucking away leads every single game. It
I
just
couldn't
seems to be
believe that.
that's the way we're doing it. I can't it just seems to be what we do. Like I can't remember the stat. Was it 1 win in 9 European games? Stretching back last season.
And that was Copenhagen when we had to save a penalty.
Yeah.
And Maguire scored at the very end, didn't it? Do you remember?
It wasn't a convincing win, was it?
It wasn't convincing.
Yeah, it's not good. It's really, really not good. And Ten Hag needs, if he's going to save his job, if he's going to do anything today, he needs to change pretty much everything he's been doing. But how much can you do? How much can you change in like a couple of days? Like we played Thursday night. How much can you actually do in that amount of time?
I mean, there's 2 points in there. One, I think you have to admire Ten Hag for how thick-skinned he is because it just doesn't seem to bother him.
Have to be.
Yeah, you have to be, of course. But I mean, sometimes you've seen, Mourinho when he snaps back a little bit. Ollie snapped back a little bit. Yeah. Van Gaal did it as well. Ten Hag just seems to be so like laser focused on whatever his style is, on the way he wants to go about things, his principles. And likewise with that, I'd be as astonished if he switched it up today and changed because he just doesn't do it, does he?
No, again, I would be utterly surprised if he changed things wholesale today. If I see anything different today, I will be shocked, like absolutely shocked.
This is the time to do it. It's got to be today, hasn't it?
Yeah,
got to be.
Will he? I don't think so. I really don't think he will. I think he's willing to go out on his sword, on his principles, isn't he? That's who he is, and it's going to cost him. It's going to cost him.
Yeah. Dan's saying players have started turning against Ten Hag. This is going to improve soon. Ten Hag will be out. Our players need a manager who is soft, kind of like Ole. I disagree. I don't want another Ole in, to be honest with you. I want a blend of both.
Yeah.
To be fair. I'd argue it's better than them scoring first. We're terrible when scoring first. No, I'm sorry. I remember the Spurs game when they scored early. Van der Ven ran straight through the defence. Brennan Johnson scores, and that set the tone then for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. If we go 2-0 up or 3-0 up, we'll probably still lose or draw the game. If we, lose, go down 1-0, we'll lose the game. We're going to lose either way. He better drop Lissandro and Dallo, but we all know he starts them. Yeah, no chance of that today, is he, Sam?
Yep. Is he going to drop Dallo for? We haven't got a fullback. We haven't got any fullbacks. Yeah. Like, what do you want to do? Who are you going to play? Ridiculous.
Yeah, what about Lissandro, though? Because the centre-back partnership against Porto were terrible, weren't they?
I thought De Ligt was equally as bad, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought they were both shit. So,
yeah.
Again, is that the system, though? Like, exposing him? Because we've seen with the gaps between the midfield and the defence, and then with Dallo inverting, just leaves Lissandro exposed by himself because he's having to cover all that ground and stuff, and they're not quick. Lissandro and De Ligt are not quick at all. So it's like, is it the system exposing him as bad as like that, or is it their form? So it's a question of that, isn't it? The other choice is like, if we take them both out, it's Evans and Maguire, and everybody lost their fucking heads when we were playing those two. So what do you do?
Just a question to you, Sam, and a question to the chat. If you could bring in any manager right now or any style of play that you would like to see at Old Trafford and you think would really, really help us get results for the foreseeable, for the rest of the season at least, who would you bring in and why?
I'd bring Nagelsmann in. I really, really like the way he plays. It's attacking football. It's high pressure. It's really, really attractive, and I think he'd get the best out of the talent that we have in the players that have, and use them to their sort of specialities and their advantages. He would be my number one choice for sure. I think he was mistreated at Bayern. I don't think he got given the time, and obviously he fell out with the board, but I think a lot of people seem to fall out with the Bayern board, as Thomas Tuchel demonstrated. Hansi Flick demonstrated as well. So, Nagelsmann would be my number one. That would be the guy I'd go for.
There's conversations saying that he could potentially do both the Germany job and the United job.
You don't want that though, do you? Like, because then it's just you want him 100% focused on United. Like, that's what you want.
I mean, that takes enough for your time up. Eric Tanner knows all about that. A couple of people saying, Lumen says Allegri. A few people agreeing with Nagels. 3 people going with Nagelsmann there. I did, to be fair, when I watched, I've watched the Leipzig team that he had. I watched the Bayern team, and I watched the German team as well. That's like the freshest in my memory. I did like the football he played. It was very fluid, very aggressive in the press. They moved it quickly. Everyone's positionally seemed to be like they knew the job, they knew the role, and you can't really say that for Eric. So I think Nagelsmann would be an interesting one, but I just haven't seen any like really strong links with him at all.
It's just me wishing more than anything. I don't see it happening, to be honest with you. Obviously we've pulled off stuff on the Ineos like Lenny Yoro and stuff like that, but I don't see it happening myself. But he would be my choice. Who would you pick?
I'm with Richard. I'd go with Inzaghi or I'd go with Tuchel, because I think we need, for the rest of this season at least, I think we need that disciplined tactical approach where we just keep it tight like Tuchel did when he came in at Chelsea. Just a really disciplined, focused approach. If you're winning games 1 or 2-0, that's fine, but the goals will come eventually. I think we really need to stay watertight in a minute because we're conceding so many goals. I mean, 9 goals in the past 5 games or something. It's fucking outrageous, isn't it? Probably more, actually. 10 goals because you got 1 against FC20 as well. So, and you can add 4 or 5 to that today because I think it's going to be an absolute slapping. So, I just think we really need a secure kind of system. And I think a couple of players would probably be caught in the wayside with that coming in. Potentially a couple of wingers. I don't know who, but I'm not bothered about individuals. I'm bothered about the team performing as a unit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who stays, who goes. If we winning trophies and we're winning games, let's just do that. That's what I want. That's all I need from this team.
Yeah. Do you think if Yoro was fit and available now, do you think he'd be in this back line straight up?
I think he'd get an opportunity. Absolutely. I definitely think you get, because you have to change something up. Again, you'd like to change Dallo and the fullbacks, but we haven't got them. So it's that. He's changed the midfield consistently. Like, it seems game to game, he seems to change the midfield. I'll throw one in, one out. Forward line, he seems to keep tweaking and changing as well. So yeah, the only thing we can't change is the fullbacks. I'd love to see that, but yeah, I think Yoro would get a shout for sure, because Maguire's had a couple of sort of he's had one start or two. Did he start against Barnsley? Was it?
Yeah, he's had a couple.
So I think Yoro would definitely get an opportunity.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Of course, we're going to be live in an hour and a half. So for everyone in the chat, do not miss that pre-match build-up. We've got quite a few of us on discussing that game, which could be an ultimate, nail in the coffin for Erik Ten Hag. So a lot of things to talk about. So we would love to have as many of you as possible in the chat, going through the game with us and analysing the team news and stuff. We had a little bit of news around Angel Gomez last night, Sam. I asked if he would ever, consider a homecoming at Manchester United. And he said to Time Sport, there'll always be that sentimental soft spot. So, of course, it'd be difficult to say no. And I've seen a couple of these quotes before. Looked tidy for England. Obviously, came through the academy at United. Would it be worth bringing him back on a free, or are you still kind of discouraged about his physicality?
I just think the Premier League is just not really built for him. I think he's a great player. Some really good. He's got a really good touch. His passing is really excellent. And he's a very talented boy, like really talented player. And I really liked him coming through the sort of youth system at United. I thought he was going to be something, and it just never happened. But he seems to have found his level, seems to have found where he sort of works. Lille, obviously, if he's out of contract, I imagine there'll be a bunch of clubs trying to sign him up next summer. I think obviously he plays in the Bruno position, and I think we need somebody. Is he better than Bruno? I wouldn't say so. So I think if we're going to replace Bruno, I want somebody better. I want somebody younger who could potentially be better than Bruno. So that's kind of how I'm thinking. If we were to sort of bring him back, you bring him back as depth. It's like, well, we've got Mason Mount, you've got Eriksen, and then Ahmad can play there. So it's like, where's he going to get game time? Like, is he a replacement for Eriksen? Maybe Eriksen leaves in the summer, and then you bring Angel Gomez in. Maybe you could do that. Yeah, but yeah, I think not for me. But if he comes back as squad depth, then fine. Yeah.
I suppose, we just spent 20 minutes talking about the manager, so it all depends on them as well, doesn't it? What kind of style and system we're going to set up with. It's some interesting news coming in. The expected 11, Sam. Do you want me to go through it and get your reaction to it?
Go on.
Onana, Mazraoui, Maguire, Martinez, Dallo, Ugarte, Mainu, Fernandez, Ahmad, Højlund, Rashford.
Yeah, pretty much what I was thought. If I was on the preview the other day, that probably would have been my prediction, I think.
What, De Ligt dropped? De Ligt dropped?
Yeah.
Maguire?
Yeah, I knew one of the centre-backs was going to be dropped, wasn't there? Like, they were going to be dropped, one of them. So, and Maguire, because he scored, I think he was going to get an opportunity. So one of them was going to go. And then obviously because Højlund scored, you thought he was probably going to get another opportunity. So yeah, it makes sense. That midfield's changed again, though, hasn't it? You got Ugarte, Mainu, and Bruno now, rather than what did we have against Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno? So
yeah, they reverted to type, didn't he, from his first season?
Yeah, so be interesting to see. But I think unless the system changes, it's going to be the same result. I don't see any difference.
What's the old saying? If nothing changes, does it? So, yeah, a massive day for United. It really, really is huge. And Erik Ten Hag, this game could literally offer anything. I actually wouldn't be... I said on the preview, I think we're going to get battered. But also, United have a habit of, doing things when no one expects it, don't they? Like, the City final was the prime example of that. No one expected us to beat City. Everyone wrote us off completely, and then we ended up winning it, and in convincing fashion as well. So maybe they'll backs to the wall, similar performance. But the issue is you're then showing up only when it matters. It should matter all the time in every single game. So I don't want just one-off performance where you're going to do really well, because there's no longevity in that, is there?
It's progression. You want to see progression. You want to see consistency and progression. If you, like you said, if it's just a one-off game, that's not consistent and that's not progression. That's just showing up for a game. You want to see every game. You want to see something. Okay, I see what he's trying to do. I see the sort of elements he's trying to put together, and then you want to see consistency. It's like every week it's like get a little bit better, get a little bit better. Or if you get like sort of like City's level, you stay at that level and you just sort of dominate. So that's what you want to see. And if he comes out this game and he does that, that doesn't really change much. But then if he manages to keep his job after that and he keeps consistently doing that game after game after game after game, then you can start looking at that. But one game doesn't really change much, unfortunately.
Yeah, Andy's saying Tuchel dropped all the players we brought. Don't see the point in getting him. It's a great point because De Ligt and Mazraoui, I'm sure he would probably end up arguing with like a Marcus Rashford or something because he demands a certain work rate off him at least. I'm sure there would be clashes, but again, it's about the team and it's about the points on the pitch. So that doesn't bother me. If he wants to drop players, do it. If he's getting results and it works, I don't think anyone will complain.
Nope.
JM is saying Gomez is better than Bruno. I do think they're slightly different positions, though. I think Bruno's more of a 10. Gomez is a little bit deeper. He's more of a kind of creative midfielder like an Eriksen, and can also do the other role, the other side of it as well. Sean saying, I think De Ligt is still finding match fitness. Yeah, I suppose. But, I mean, we are in nearly mid-October, so it's like, if he's not in match fitness now, how long is it going to take him to be fit?
I think if that was the case, then Ten Hag would have said, but I think the silence sort of speaks it all. I think he's been dropped for a bad performance. He had to drop one of the centre-backs, and De Ligt unfortunately got it.
Yeah. Jonathan Kennedy is saying the owners need to hold their nerve and miss the media tirade. They need to stand by their manager. Give me a percentage, Sam, of how likely it is that Erik Ten Hag stays after this Villa game.
Depends on the result, doesn't it?
So let's say it's a 2-1. We play all right.
I think he probably keeps it.
You think?
Yeah. I think a loss, a draw, or a bad performance with a win, like a snatch and grab, he's gone. But I think if he's got a decent to okay performance and we win, I think he keeps it. But I think obviously there's that meeting next week, isn't there, in London, with all the top brass. So maybe they make a decision then. Because obviously international break, and then maybe they give him till Christmas at that point. And if results don't improve, then he goes before Christmas. But yeah, I think he would stay if we won with a decent performance. But if we anything other than that, I think he'll probably go.
That's a funny comment. Will Man United 99 says, how many games does Mr. Red Card miss in Europa? I think it's less
one.
in Europa, isn't it?
It's the one in it because it wasn't a straight red; it was 2 yellows. So.
And by the way, I would have been absolutely fine if he missed today's game. I know it sounds bad because he's our captain, but had his red card stuck and we needed to, alternate or bring someone in that role, I wouldn't have minded, genuinely. Cause I
agree.
He's been terrible. And he could easily get another red card today, the way the emotion is going into this game. I think that'd definitely be a first in football, wouldn't it? Surely. 3 red cards in a row.
Yeah.
Has to be. But then again, Brentford scored, what was it, another early goal on the weekend for the 4th consecutive time?
Yeah.
Against whoever it was, so who knows. UTFR, a bit late to the show. Personally, I'd get rid of all the coaching staff. These coaches are in survival mode and they're sinking fast. The issue is with that, we just brought in so many new staff. You're not going to have an overhaul again, are they?
No. It's all right. It's hire everybody else again. Like, start again. Jesus Christ.
Question from Richard. I'll let you answer this, Sam. What will Santa bring us for Christmas?
At United? Oh, Jesus. Fucking win a game?
Where will we be, do you think, by Christmas time? There's a better question.
Hopefully top half of the table would be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be nice.
What about other competitions?
Who have we got in the Carabao? Leicester?
Yeah. Tricky game.
Tricky.
Just got to win, Leicester.
Yeah. I think we'll beat Leicester in the Carabao. Europa, we've got
Fenerbahce.
Fenerbahce is a tough fucking game. That's a really tough game. And then the other ones we should be, I say we should be winning. We couldn't fucking beat FC Twente, so exactly. God knows at this point. Yeah, it's really difficult to predict where we're going to be. I really, really struggle to predict where we're going to be at this point. Yeah, I would like a couple of wins on the board and a positive goal difference for Christmas, please, Santa. That'd be nice.
Yes, please, Santa. I'll also take that. Sean saying I'd take McKenna over Tuchel, keep him away. McKenna's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I remember doing a show in the summer where the 4-man shortlist got put out, and it was Thomas Frank, McKenna, Mauricio Pochettino, and who's the other one?
Thomas Frank.
There was one. No, I said Frank. There's Frank. Frank. Oh, Tuchel was it? Frank, Tuchel, Poch, and McKenna. I think were the 4 names that were being linked. So they obviously like him. They obviously know all about him because he's worked at United before. Is that too soon of a step up from Ipswich?
Yeah, because he, again, attractive football and stuff like that, but he's not learned, has he? Like these teams that come up from the Championship and play expansive football and they just get battered in the Premier League because they haven't got the quality to do it. But it happened to Burnley, it's happening to Southampton, it's happening to Ipswich. Like they're just not being able to put things. So I think, he needs to step up to like a Brighton, because Brighton were interested in him, weren't they, before they got that Hurtsler? I think they were looking at him. He's like a Brighton.
Chelsea wanted him, wasn't they?
Yeah, Chelsea. He needs that kind of level to step up, I think, before he comes to United.
Yeah. Dan saying with the form, I need a win for Christmas. Feels like it's been ages since we've won a game. Sir Alex started to come good in his 4th year. Patience needed, and there's no comparison. No comparison for me. The football is fucking miles different. What we're seeing on a consistent basis is extremely worrying from Ten Hag. So
it's a different era. It's a different era as well. Really different era. Like there's no manager who like does 10-year stints anymore. It just doesn't happen. Like the game is too intense. Like I think the longest serving manager is Pep, and he's 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
Klopp sort of jacked it in after like 7, 8 years. Like nobody lasts that long. Yeah, you can't. It's so intense and it's so fucking tactically like sort of infuriating. Like people don't last dynasties anymore, so you can't think in long term. You have to think in like 3-4 year blocks. That's kind of how you got to look at it.
Is there a tougher job in world football right now than Manchester United?
Probably the England managing game, but I think United is tougher. England is tough, but I think United is tougher. Definitely more.
It's got to be the most difficult job in football, isn't it? Because I mean, any manager going for it, like just before you start, we just want to say, Louis van Gaal has failed. Jose Mourinho, ultimately failed. You know, all these managers. So good luck. Here's the keys. Let us know how you crack on. I really do think it is.
I wouldn't buy a house, by the way. I'd rent because you probably won't be here long enough to pay off the mortgage.
Yeah. That should come in the contract. That shouldn't it? We'll just get you a Premier in, and then we'll see how it goes. Premier League dropped ban for Bruno as they want us to go down the table. Richard saying I think it's too soon for Kieran, but I wouldn't be angry about it. The only thing when you need to stick with him. I think Will made a great point saying the players were calling him a PE teacher. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The news that was coming out, and there was.
They were
Was it Jesse March when he was in as well, calling him Ted Lasso? Was it?
No, it's not Jesse March. It was the other guy with the headphones in his ear.
Oh, not Jesse March. What's his name? He always had AirPods in, didn't he?
Chris Amas. I want to say Amas.
I think, something like that.
Yeah,
I was calling him fucking
Ted Lasso.
Yeah, wow. Edin Terzic would work. Chivy's a huge fan of him.
Yeah,
he always mentions him from Dortmund. He's not managed. He's not got another club at the moment, has he?
No, he left Dortmund. He left Dortmund, and he's not signed up as far as I know, anyway.
Real Madrid won't let Ancelotti leave. Didn't suggest that they would. I mean, he's doing all right in the minute. They're not top at the minute at all. I think Barcelona are top of the league as it stands. So
Hansi Flick got him playing well.
Doing all right. He's doing all right. Bring in Zidane if he knows to speak English.
No. It's not the manager.
I think Zidane's the wrong point. I mean, in terms of handling egos, I think he'd be fine. But
he's a superstar manager. He comes into a club that's ready built to win titles. He's not a guy who rebuilds and sort of builds something. Like it's not him. Yeah. And that's what
I think he's always put off the Premier League as well. Whenever he's been asked about it, he's always kind of dismissed it. So don't see it happening. But yeah. Oh, Andy's setting the tone there. Road to 40 points is a real thing. It really, really is, because I don't know. I never expected the season to go this way as I thought after all the positivity around the summer with Ineos coming in, even with the first couple of performances in the Community Shield, I thought, there's something there, man. We're playing better. We're not as open. We're not conceding as many shots. And then, just lack of progression, players coming out again, questioning his tactics, fans questioning his tactics, pundits questioning him, and ultimately it's come to a point now, Sam, where in an hour and 20 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes, should I say, when we kick off, it's going to be decided. So, yeah, make sure you come and join us, guys, for the game. Like I mentioned before, there's going to be me, Shreyas, and Dan on, I think, for the pre-match build-up. And usually we have early team news. So turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing, because we're going to go live maybe even before 1 o'clock. It'd be nice to see as many of you in the chat discussing the game, I want to speak to Shreyas and Dan about the manager as well and his future and how they feel about it heading into this one. But yeah, there's so many things to discuss, and it's going to be exciting for a neutral, at least, the way we've been playing at the moment. So, yeah, let's see what's in store for us. Anything else, Sam, you wanted to touch on before we head off?
No, follow the socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And then, yeah, join the lads for the pre-match, and then we're on for the review as well, straight after the game. So come join us.
Don't look too excited by it, Sam.
Just, do you know what I mean? Like,
run for the review.
It's like reviewing. It's like reviewing someone's
funeral.
Yeah, like just going to a funeral. They've recorded it and then they're making you watch it back and go discuss that, and you're like, yeah.
I might turn up in like a 3-piece if we get absolutely battered today. I might actually turn up for Tenag's funeral.
I'm just gonna put us all in black and white as well. Just put sepia, just sort of fucking tone on it. Just, Jesus.
I think so. Yeah, strap in, people, because it's going to be a bit of a mad Sunday. I can absolutely promise you that. Thank you so much for everyone who's been in the chat. Thank you everyone who's been putting their opinions in. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see as many of you for the pre-match build-up and the review, because, like I said, it's going to be a busy, busy day. So keep an eye out on our socials. We'll see you in literally an hour and 20 minutes time for the game. Take it easy. See you in a bit.